So, David, I hear this new show coming up, the Fortean Slip.
You know, I don't know where these douchebags are coming from.
Steve Alcorn's a fine investigator. What he's doing with this Chris dude, I have no idea.
Christopher York is fucked up. The dude is seriously fucked up.
Put that on the show.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
You harassed me to watch this piece of shit.
And ultimately a piece of shit it is.
And fucking listen!
I was going to make a lemming noise.
I was a fucking lemming.
I don't know. How do you explain those kind of things?
Aliens are actually time travelers from the future.
So don't worry, in the future, we're still ignorant bastards.
This show is going to be fucked up.
I'd like to tell you all this show is going to be good. But let's face facts. Greetings! And welcome to the Fortean Slip. I am your jackass, unprofessional, amateur, petty bitch host. As always, at my side, a man, his computer, and a flash player. Steve Alcorn.
I think that's me.
It is.
Oh, good.
And from bigfootcrossroads.com with the Polar Express, Mr. Matt Knapp.
Choo-choo!
Chugga 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 chugga.
Can I ask you one thing, Chris?
Sure.
When you introduce Matt every week, you plug his blog.
Yeah.
There's never any mention of mine.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is it
Just
what, Sasquatch Scoop?
I did not hear
You don't even know the
question
fucking
involved. There was no question involved there. We can move on.
That's right.
You don't even know the fucking blog. That's funny.
Dude, I have it fucking written down.
Sasquatchscoop.com. I think that's what it is.
There you go.
That is what it is.
Fucking com.
All right.
Put the fucking in there. It helps.
Yeah, every
Well,
time.
that'll be my other blog.
It should be.
And it's a great blog.
Go ahead, tell us.
Steve writes a fine blog, ladies and gentlemen.
He
A
does.
fine blog.
If you say so.
What? I'm not sure, but
He makes a mean souffle as well.
Well, being that it's called Sasquatch Scoop, it's about, scat collection, I think.
That's where it goes in my head.
Yes.
Sasquatch poop.
Giant litter box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I threw the show totally off direction.
Fucking Christ. Anywho, this is episode 13. Dead Bigfoot The Musical. In which we watch Justin Smeha sing a song, tell a story, and allegedly kill what appears to be two Bigfoot in the woods.
Bigfoot and a half.
A Bigfoot and a half, yeah, like short round.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was running around saying, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones.
What if it was a midget Bigfoot?
They don't like to be called that.
Oh,
It's little
sorry.
people.
Little
people.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Little people, Bigfoots.
Little people are entirely something different.
They are?
Yes.
Oh. But we all watched this documentary produced, directed, I would assume written by Mr. Ro Sahibi. And I personally liked it. I thought it was hard to watch because I have followed the story for a really long time, and to watch the movie knowing all the facts and knowing basically where the story is going to go, it was kind of difficult to watch it. However, it was put together well. I thought he relayed the story well. And for people who don't know anything about the story and who are interested in it, I think they'll enjoy it.
I would agree. I think the general public would get more out of this documentary than people who know all the players and all the plays ahead of time. But I thought it was really well done, very well produced.
I mean, was it a thing of cinema genius? No. Is it fucking Oscar worthy? Probably not. But is it a entertaining documentary that's well done about that subject? Yes, it focused on who it should have focused on. It was focused on Justin. You didn't see a lot of the other principal players that were in there. You didn't even really see Roe all that much.
No.
I will say this. Out of the other independent Bigfoot documentaries I have watched, I thought this one was done the best.
I have to agree there. I don't think any of them have been done in the way this one's been done, following just one witness. And, you know, I thought it was really well put together. I think Roe is a master at Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah, yeah. I was blown away. I've been trying to get mine to recreate some of the...
Sorry, Roe, I'm just kidding.
And it is Roe Sahibi, not Rosa Hebe. Correct?
Yes.
I believe it's Sahibi, yes.
It is Roe, as in
Rohypnol.
Roe.
A way that he gets a lot of his dates.
Yes. Correct.
Correct. Internet rumor.
They start here. All right, everybody get on Twitter now. But yeah, the movie, I thought it was good. Like I said, knowing a lot of the principal players and the facts of the story, where everything was going. I've met Justin. I've been to the kill site. You didn't really see a lot of the kill site either in the documentary.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you see shots, but you don't see the whole area, and that is just a beautiful little spot. It's just serene, and I mean, when I drove up in there was a huge ass bear there.
Big old bear.
Yeah, it was a big son of a bitch, but it's it's a nice place. And
yeah, if it wasn't riddled with bears and people killing Bigfoot, it'd be a great place to camp.
Right. So, and like I said, knowing Justin, the documentary portrays him, in my opinion, exactly how he is.
I agree with that, because I've had plenty of chats with Justin, both privately and, I've interviewed him on another show, and of course after the shows we talked to him and whatever, and yeah, I think it portrayed him very much like he really is.
Yeah, he's unapologetic. He's he's blunt about how shit went down or how shit is. He's a prankster. He likes to joke around. But
whenever he is telling the story, you can see the emotion in his eyes. I mean,
right.
This thing, I mean, I was going into it, I was I guess you'd call it a possible believer. I have, said it many times that I believe that Justin could have very well done this, and I had no reason not to believe him. And now that I've seen the documentary and seen all the details involved and everything, I believe him. I think it happened. I'm going on the record saying that right now. I am 100% convinced.
That he shot two Bigfoot.
Well, I've always said that I believe that Justin believes that he shot something up there that day that was very unusual. But after talking, I spoke to him about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and before he even saw the documentary, and we discussed some things about, if you're hoaxing something, you're not going to send it off to somebody that is going to, come back as bear, and that was after the what was that documentary, Bigfoot Files documentary. We spoke to him, and he was just very upset with the way he was portrayed there, because that was totally false. And that's what I like most about this movie, because this movie portrayed him exactly as he is, and that was good. That was, my favorite part. And like you said, Matt, the emotion. But I'm going to go on record too saying I believe whether it was Bigfoot or not, it was definitely something strange and something very unusual. And really what convinced me was the lab reports, and also, not giving away anything in the movie, but everybody knows that the driver interviews included in this movie, that his story's corroborated, and so that was, to me, that was really good.
Well, I believe he shot something up there. What I don't know is what it is. I can't definitively say it was a Bigfoot. And even Justin has said that, I think in some of the interviews, that he thought that it looked like a man in a bear suit.
Right, he has said that.
So but then, when he talks about the little one, it definitely looked like he always says that it looked like a little chimp, or a little ape or whatever. But the big one, there's all that confusion, and even the driver doesn't give you any clear description. But
I believe the driver was wording things the way he was in case people find out who he is, and he didn't want to get caught going on film saying, I think it was this, because he seems very worried that people will find out and label him as crazy or a liar or something like that.
He does not want people knowing who he is.
And with the man in a bear suit thing, I noticed that Justin had them hook up the polygraph machine at the end of the test, just specifically so they could ask him that one more question, which was, did it look like a man in a bear suit, basically. Right. So I think the way that came across to me, because they also asked him, did you shoot what you believe to be commonly known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch? And he answered yes, and we all know that he passed the polygraph. I think what he was trying to say was, a man in a bear suit is the best way I could describe what I initially saw. Don't think that I think it's a man in a bear suit. I think it's a Bigfoot, and this is how I'm describing it, and he passed both questions.
Right. Now, of course, lie detector tests aren't admissible in court of law, but it just it does kind of help corroborate his story. After seeing the movie and seeing his reactions, when getting hooked up and stuff, he was nervous as all hell.
Yeah.
And so there's no way that he was able to fake the, screw the lie detector test up. He has no clue how to do that. If you watch the movie, you'll notice that. He even talks about being nervous, I believe. So, yeah. That was convincing to me that, well, whether or not the polygraph examination was the greatest thing to do on Earth or not, if it was possible to fake it, Justin couldn't do it. Not the way he was reacting when they were hooking him up. So.
Well, there's always that argument that they're not admissible in a court of law, and people have used that, to maintain their position of, not believing Justin's story whenever that subject gets brought up. But, that's based on technicalities and stipulations, not because it's easy to beat these things or they just screw up all the time.
Right.
Right. I had a blog article at one time being very critical of the polygraph test. And then the lady who, I don't think they mention her name in the movie, so I won't mention it, but the lady who took the polygraph test.
Crazy hair lady.
She contacted me, and I had a good conversation with her. And before she gave that polygraph test, she, of course, wasn't not a believer, but she said to me, I believe Justin. I believe what he said because the polygraph to her proved that, and I guess it's very rare to pass a polygraph. What was it, 99 point some percent accuracy or something like that?
98 point something, which is like as high as it will go.
Right. You can't do that unless you're telling the truth, I guess. So whether I believe in polygraph tests or not, and even if that wasn't in the movie, knowing Justin the way I do and seeing the movie just for me made it all that more believable, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
I believe something happened up there, and I believe that Justin believes in what he saw. But I have so many questions about it.
The reason I'm willing to sign off on the Bigfoot aspect of it is because some things have been mentioned by Justin and some things were said in that documentary that were details about Bigfoot that Justin shouldn't know.
Right.
I mean, these were things he mentioned before. He became an active member in the community, if you want to even call him that now. If he were making those details up, then he either got really lucky because it's not stuff that's published a lot, or he really did his homework just to throw in a couple of details that he acts like he knows nothing about.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The very first time everybody knows that when this story first broke, I think it first broke on Lindsay's blog, and then Sean picked it up on Bigfoot Evidence. I was the biggest skeptic there was. I tried many times, and Justin will even tell you, I tried catching him in lies, even about non-related stuff, and I never could. But that didn't change my mind about it being a hoax. What changed my mind, started changing my mind, is the way he described the way the juveniles vocalized. And the reason it changed my mind is, first of all, I haven't heard that a lot in the Bigfoot community, sounded like a deaf child or whatever. But I have had an experience of what I believe could have been a juvenile Bigfoot, and it was the exact same thing. And there's no way on earth Justin should have known that, the deaf child aspect. So that's what started changing my mind about this story. And then, of course, the tests, and then the sending it off, because you wouldn't do that. There's no known hoaxer in the world would do that. Send them off to be verified when it's going to come back black bear. Right. And then, of course, talking to Justin a lot of times, and then viewing the movie and seeing the emotion in his face while he's at the site and talking about it then, and you can really tell that something definitely strange happened up there that day. And the driver too. You couldn't see his face, but you could hear it in his voice. They're not lying, So yeah, I would have to say I agree with. I think that he did. Whether it's Bigfoot or not, I'm not willing to make quite that leap, but it was definitely something very unusual. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and he just, I think at this point he just wants something to verify, what he saw. And what I'm really afraid of for Justin is that this thing is going to become his, he's going to become like Captain Ahab, fucking a little peg leg jumping around the fucking forest looking for Bigfoot. I think it's gotten to a point now where he just wants something to quantify it.
Right. And
well, he certainly wouldn't be the first person that it's happened to. Either.
No, I'm sure not. But knowing him as personally as I do, I just I would hope that isn't the case for him. That he can disassociate from it and just get away from it. But
So far, that hasn't been the case with him. You know, he is very passionate about corroborating his story. I don't know, you know, since the movie's out now, and I don't know whether it's still the case. I haven't talked to him in like a week or two, but very passionate about proving what he says is true, because it means a lot to him to prove that, you know.
yeah, well,
And I don't blame him. I've done the same thing with mine. I've gone back to the site where I've heard my thing, and it took me a long time to go back there, in fact, because it was such a scary event. But once I did, you know. But I understand where he's coming from. If you have an experience like that, it's very hard to explain to people who haven't. I'm sure, Matt, you can say the same thing.
Yeah, that was another, you know, aspect of it, was just the psychological factor. I mean, you know, people question, well, why wouldn't he bring a body out with him? Why wouldn't he take a sample of the body or take a picture? Having a sighting as somebody that was looking for them to begin with was a very overpowering emotional and psychological sensation. It changes your world. You know, there's something there that, you know, shouldn't be there. It doesn't exist, so why is it there? And, well, they're real. I now know they're real, and oh my God, this is crazy. But for him to be just out hunting in a location that he's been to numerous times, had no idea these things were there, isn't even thinking about them, isn't interested in them, and then all of a sudden they're there and he shoots one and then kills a juvenile. Like, I think those guys freaked out.
I think have no doubt in my mind they freaked out.
I think they were freaking out. I think they were terrified, and they hauled ass.
and I think that to anybody who says, well, I would have done this or I would have done that, if you haven't been in that situation, you can't say that. And I'm not going to judge what Justin and the driver did, because I've never been in that situation. So to say, well, why didn't they drag it out or why didn't they throw it in the back of the truck? I mean, yeah, in a way, your brain says, why didn't they fucking do that? And why didn't they fucking take a picture? Why didn't they fucking call a news crew? And, you know, look at what I found, you know? But in the same token, none of us have gone through that, so how can we make that assessment?
Yeah, I think everything happened so quickly and was so insane that Justin and them probably, you know, Justin especially, didn't even realize what had really happened until after the fact. Like, I know he realized, of course, he shot one and he shot another one, all that, but I don't think it was until later that he got home and, you know, started thinking about things that could have been a Bigfoot. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe I shot a Bigfoot.
Right.
Well, definitely whatever it was, you know, it was strange, and I don't know if I would have took the body, to be honest with you. First of all, I don't hunt, but if I did, but I can tell you from my experience hearing what I heard, now I can't claim that it was a Bigfoot because I didn't see it, but I've listened to thousands of different animal sounds and I can't find anything that even resembled it. But it took me 4 years to go back to the location where I heard that before I had the balls enough to go back and look. So I can tell you that in that situation, it had to have been a scary event for him, you know, and the driver as well. I mean, I know it, and he's a hunter, you know, so he's used to killing things and whatnot. I'm not, but I can tell you I was scared shitless, and I was scared shitless for 4 years, and finally I got the balls enough up to go back and look. Of course, I couldn't find anything after 4 years, but yeah, the events it will change your life one way or the other. And obviously with Justin it has. He had no interest in Bigfoot before this, and I'm probably pretty sure that he wishes it never happened. Sometimes I wish it never happened to me, and I didn't even see one. I just heard one. So it's hard to say what you would do unless you're there.
It's also interesting. There's a story out of Oklahoma called The Siege at Hanobi, where basically this guy claims to have shot a Bigfoot on his property. His brother was there at the time, witnessed everything. Crazy story. The BFRO investigated it. It was national news at the time, literally. It was all over the place. But what's interesting is Justin's behavior now is exactly like this other guy I know's behavior was after he went through that ordeal that he claims to have gone through. They're acting very similar. Like, the other guy pretty much became obsessed with proving it, you know, and was like a hunter from, you know, a rural area, and got thrown out on the news and, you know, in the limelight, so to speak, and didn't want people thinking he was crazy and a liar, so he just became obsessed with it, basically, and spent all of his time trying to prove this thing. And it's been years and years and years later, and he hasn't been able to prove it yet. And that's kind of what I'm worried about whenever it comes to Justin, because if he's telling the truth and this really did happen, he needs to realize that, okay, it's not going to be a simple task to prove that it happened. You may never encounter another one in your life.
Yep.
Or maybe he will. Dun, dun,
He
dun.
might.
Dun,
He
dun,
might.
dun.
I guarantee you the outcome will be a whole lot different if he does. But I won't say any more about that. But I guarantee
This time he will go hand to hand.
Hand to hand. Justin
Ninja
Sneha versus
style.
Bigfoot. The Throwdown. UFC.
The one thing I can say about the movie, it was well worth the $3.99 I paid to view it, because whether you know the story or not, it puts it all in a timeline for you. And it was very good that way.
And where can people go see that? It's on deadbigfoot.com.
Deadbigfoot.com. There's a Facebook group, Dead Bigfoot, I think. Facebook.com/deadbigfoot, I believe.
It's well worth the $3.99 just to check it out if you're
And then
interested in the story.
I spent way more money watching way worse shit before.
Yeah.
As far as the movie goes, it was pretty well produced, I thought. I think Roe did a halfway decent job with
Yeah,
it.
I paid to go see the Congo.
Yeah.
In the theater there. Or Congo, whatever the fuck it was, that piece of shit Michael Crichton movie.
In the theater.
Yeah.
I paid to sleep through Michael with John Travolta.
I'm sorry.
I know. It was so good that I slept through the whole movie. My ex-wife was so pissed off at me. I can tell you, Dead Bigfoot is better than the movie I slept through. Absolutely.
Yes, it is. And I don't know why you slept through it. But, Steve, don't you have some news?
Am I supposed to?
Yes, you are.
All right, tonight we're going to lead off with a UFO story, and this is from... The original story was... excuse me, I got a little verklempt there.
Oh.
Speak amongst yourselves. Canadian national newspaper, I believe, is where it originally was posted. But it says, what did an Ohio witness see on November 27th, 2013? And most of what is written in this story is the actual MUFON report. And this was on the 27th of November, so it was the day before Thanksgiving. He says, I was standing outside with binoculars originally saw a star in the shape of a cross.
I was just standing outside with binoculars when all of a sudden...
I turned my attention from my neighbor's window to the sky.
Anyway, he saw a star in the shape of a cross, and then he went out to look. After he was already out. He saw about 7 spacecrafts moving through the sky interdimensionally. Then a spacecraft flew over
He knows
my
this
house.
because he had his interdimensional tester out.
Then a spacecraft flew over his house, heading south, barely over the treetops and power lines. His electrical box was blinking words and numbers. A number of artifacts all around his house, including grass, creased as in a crop circle. There were at least 6 stars that were starships, and each one he viewed with binoculars moved when he looked at them. Excuse me. Each one moved when he looked at them, and they squiggled and danced in the sky
He also
and would shoot off in various
that
directions.
after the spaceships left, his pubic hair was in the shape of a pompadour.
I was going to go with the artist formerly known as Prince.
He says, I feel disoriented. My house is definitely affected by an electromagnetic field. Dizzy and feel pulled in different parts of the yard. A friend came over and took photos, and she felt the magnetic field as well.
A friend came over. We took some photos. I uploaded them to the internet. On a website we can't mention.
The story does not contain any of those said photos for some reason.
Nor does it contain photos of the mushrooms he ate previous to this encounter.
I watched these starships off and on from 12 midnight until 6 a.m. in the morning.
It never grabbed a camera the whole time.
The starships that flew over the treetops came over me. It looked like an organic being with 2 bright oblong lights beneath it. It twisted as it flew and flew south and vanished in seconds. Then he asked for someone to come out with investigative equipment and check the electromagnetic fields right away. And then he says, I think this warrants a visit rather than just submitting information.
So who did he call exactly with this testing equipment to come right out?
He contacted MUFON on November 27, 2013 at 2:20 a.m.
And someone was there by 3 a.m.
Well, his neighbor came and took pictures, apparently, that we can't see because they're not posted anywhere. And in our next story, this one's from PsychCentral.com. Words can change your brain. So sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can change your brain. According to Andrew Newberg, MD, and Mark Robert Waldman, words can literally change your brain. In their book, Words Can Change Your Brain, they've said that enough already, they write, a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress.
Steve, you're shit. Steve, you're shit.
Thanks, Chris. My brain just changed.
It did.
Positive words such as peace and love can alter the expression of genes, strengthening areas in our frontal lobes and promoting the brain's cognitive functioning. They propel the motivational centers of the brain into action, according to the authors, and rebuild resiliency.
Hate. War.
Famine.
Conversely, hostile language can disrupt specific genes that play a key part in the production of neurochemicals that protect us from stress.
Bestiality.
Humans are hardwired to worry, part of our primal brains protecting us from threats to our survival, so our thoughts naturally go here first. However, a single negative word can increase the activity in our part of a brain that I can't pronounce, which is the fear center.
I just did that to you.
And I'm very afraid now. This releases dozens of stress-producing hormones and neurotransmitters, which in turn interrupts our brain's functioning.
Yeah, just listen to Steve right now.
Just like that. This especially with regard to logic, reason, and language. Angry words and send alarm messages through the brain, and they can partially shut down the logic and reasoning centers located in the frontal lobes, writes Newberg and Waldman. According to the authors, using the right words can transform our reality. By holding a positive and optimistic word in your mind, you stimulate frontal lobe activity. This area includes specific language centers that connect directly to the motor cortex responsible for moving you into action.
Fellatio.
As our research has shown, the longer you concentrate on positive words...
See, I just made Steve happy.
That's right. Very much so. And you
Doesn't
made me
take
lose my
much,
spot, too.
Doesn't take much
Oh, look, a
fellatio
ball.
to make Steve smile.
Forget it. Next story. And my favorite of the night. I like to save the best for last. This is from our favorite news source, very reputable, of course, dailymail.co.uk. It says, humans evolved after a female chimpanzee mated with a pig. Extraordinary claim was made by an American geneticist.
Was it?
Yes.
I've seen those women before.
The human species began as the hybrid offspring of a male pig and a female chimpanzee, a leading geneticist has suggested.
According to one spider.
The starting claim has been made by Eugene McCarthy of the University of Georgia, who is also one of the world's leading authorities on hybridization in animals. He points out that
The
while
world's leading authority on hybridization of animals.
He points out that while humans have many features in common with chimps, we also have a large number of distinguishing characteristics not found in any other primates.
Yeah, like we breathe air and we go poop. And,
Go
wait,
grow
no, primates do that
tusks.
too. No.
Dr. McCarthy says these divergent characteristics are most likely a result of a hybrid origin at some point far back in human evolutionary history. What's more, he suggests there is one animal that has all of the traits which distinguish humans from our primate cousins in the animal kingdom. What is this other animal
Platypus.
that has all these traits, he asks rhetorically? The answer is Sasquatch, the ordinary pig. That must be the Latin name for a pig, I'm assuming.
Smell truffles.
Dr. McCarthy elaborates his astonishing hypothesis in an article on macroevolution.net, a website he curates. He is at
That is the popular thing for scientists to do.
He is at pains to point out that
Suggest
it
that
is
people
merely
are pigs.
it is merely a hypothesis.
I mean, I firmly
But he
believe that
does-
people are pigs, but not in
I've
the
been
same
called
way.
a pig numerous times.
But he does present some compelling evidence to support it. Scientists currently suppose that chimpanzees are humans' closest living evolutionary relatives, a theory amply backed by genetic evidence. However, as Dr. McCarthy points out, despite this genetic similarity, there are a massive number of divergent anatomical characteristics distinguishing the two species.
I'm still a bit lost here. Seeing how humans are primates, what traits do we have that primates don't have exactly?
Well, let me get into that. These distinguishing characteristics including hairless skin, a thick layer of subcutaneous fat, light-colored eyes, protruding noses, and heavy eyelashes, to name but a few, are unmistakably porcine. I'm assuming that's another word for pig, he suggests. There are also a number of less obvious but equally inexplicable similarities between humans and pigs in the structure of the skin and organs. Indeed, pig skin and... I'm sorry.
But we're primates. Therefore, they are primate traits.
Right. Indeed, pig skin tissues and heart valves can be used in medicine because of their similarity and compatibility with the human body. Dr. McCarthy says the original...
Come on, see the pig man. He
Man,
is
bear
on
pig.
every street corner.
Can we get to the part where the monkey fucked the pig?
Yes, let me get to that point. One important criticism which dubs his theory the monkey fucking a pig hypothesis
There we go.
is that there is a
It's
little
an
chance
actual
that
hypothesis.
That is the
monkey
scientific
fucking the
terminology.
pig hypothesis.
apparently that was by a reputable scientist too. Can I read that again? One important criticism which doubts his theory, dubs his theory the monkey fucking a pig hypothesis, is that there is little chance that pigs and chimps could be interfertile.
You realize that this article totally legitimizes the show, right?
The two orders of creatures, according to evolutionary theory, diverged roughly 80 million years ago. A science blog.
Where there was a lonely monkey and a drunk pig.
Love will happen.
You have beautiful eyelashes.
I could take you home.
Okay. Despite the opinions of some peer reviewers that Dr. McCarthy's work presents a potentially paradigm-shifting new take on conventional views of the origin of new life forms, he has had difficulty finding a publisher.
Really?
So he has chosen to publish a book-length manuscript outlining his ideas on his own.
Sounds like somebody
website.
else.
He could always try the De Novo Journal.
Yeah.
I think that's enough of that story, fellas, and that's the news for tonight.
That was so great.
And here I always thought they fucked footballs.
I think I'm going to run with the monkey fucking a pig.
Oh, a pigskin. Get it? See what I did there?
Uh-oh, medicine time again.
It's medication time. It's medication time.
Don't you like the lovely music I put behind my medication timer?
Come see Dr. McMurphy. This has been episode 13 of the Fortean Slip. Dead Bigfoot, the musical. Go to deadbigfoot.com. Give Rosahibi some money.
I wonder if there's monkey fucking a pig, the musical. I'm definitely not watching.
There should be. In Bigfoot the Musical, Justin Smeha should bend over a Bigfoot and give it the business.
I'm glad this show is uncensored.
So am I.
Because if not, we could have said, this show would have been like 5 minutes long.
It should be 5 minutes long.
I just lit up a skookum.
Skogum.